Thank you so much. And welcome to all of you listening. The key term that was used by Wim was preliminary, and that's absolutely right, because the survey actually hasn't closed. It closes tomorrow. So there hasn't been time to analyse the results in great depth, but I certainly can give you the headlines of those results. The context of the survey was an invite from the Commonwealth Association of Planners to put together a working group that could come up with a quality evidence-based document that could be of value to CAP members in their understanding and practice of resilience planning. So that's the output we're aiming for. There's just 3 of us working on that. We developed an action plan. The deadline, which is driving it all, obviously, is September. And as I said, the survey closes tomorrow, and very little analysis has been undertaken so far. The survey was designed to elicit practices and views across the Commonwealth on disaster preparedness, especially in terms of land use. It's received responses from 17 Commonwealth countries, and they're listed there for you to see. So a healthy response. Interestingly, of those 17, just 10 Commonwealth countries completed the survey, and a great number of them sort of opted out for a short while when the question arose of whether there was a national or regional resilience strategy in place within their countries. So the following results very much reflect the responses from the 10 countries rather than the 17 who started the survey. And the first series of questions was about evidence and data that informs disaster preparedness decision-making. Just 6 of the respondent countries had undertaken a risk assessment of those disasters that it was vulnerable to, and that the following slide shows the disasters that those countries had experienced over the previous 10 years. And as you can see, flooding is up there for all of them, followed by drought here, climate change, obviously, earthquakes, cyclones, rising sea levels, maritime disasters, oil spills, etc., extreme weather events, and tsunamis. We asked then what natural disasters they expected to occur or reoccur over the next 10 years. Again, flooding's up there. Drought significantly went up. So a great anticipation of that over the next 10 years. Rising sea levels, climate change became very prominent in the responses. We wanted to know whether the decision makers had the information they needed to make good decisions in terms of planning and land use. So we asked whether countries were able to access data on the economic, social, environmental and human cost of disasters in their country, or be able to tell us where the hotspots were in terms of risk. And the next series of questions relate strategy. So move from evidence for decision making to strategic decision making. Again, just 6 of the respondent countries possessed a national or regional resilience strategy. 100% of respondents believed a strategy at both the national and regional level was crucial to the well-being of their communities. 87% of those who had a strategy, of those 6, 5 who had a strategy indicated their strategy had both priorities and measures of success. That's a good thing. 72% of those with a strategy indicated it was aligned with other relevant documents and planning instruments, including spatial plans, land use plans. So that's a very good response. And 100% of respondents believe the strategy should inform local land use plans. So where they existed, there seemed to be a great deal of alignment and the strategies appeared strong. In terms of developing those strategies, we asked which sectors had contributed to the development of the strategy, and as you can see there, they included the various levels of government within their countries, including local, state, regional, national, land use planners, energy services, community infrastructure providers, business, insurers, education sector, and community sectors. So a very well-informed plan in terms of consultation. We wanted to know what legislative stature their strategy had, their resilience strategy had at both a national and a regional level where they existed. 66% of respondents indicated that the national strategy possessed legislative force. 60% indicated their regional strategy had legislative force. And around 80% of the respondents believe both national and regional strategies should have legislative force. We also want to know whether the funding that surrounded disaster planning was aligned with that strategy. And 72% of those who had a strategy said that there was alignment with the funding that sat behind it. We wanted to know from the respondents how prepared they thought their countries were for disaster and what barriers and opportunities existed for resilience planning. This is quite a depressing slide in my view. So just 50% of the respondents felt that their country was as prepared as it could be for a natural disaster event, and the other 50 felt it was prepared for some, but not all anticipated events. There are a number of issues that could be seen as barriers to resilience planning, and we asked which of the following would respondents consider a barrier in their country. Right up there was lack of funding in terms of responses, property values, which we all come up against. National leadership was identified, a lack of strategy, a lack of data for making good decisions, a lack of land use planning expertise in relation to disaster planning, property rights, and the governance framework, i.e. fragmentation and lack of alignment. Interestingly, it was national leadership over sub-levels of government that was identified by many respondents. When asking what suggestions respondents had for building more preparedness, national leadership was identified as one. Coordinated and aligned approach was another potential opportunity. A strategy with legislative force that was aligned horizontally and vertically, with various plans and agencies and funding, more evidence and tools, research, as Cassidy was saying, and the mapping experience in the UK was raised on a couple of occasions by respondents. Greater input by planners into disaster recovery planning and aligned funding. So that's a very brief overview of the headlines of the survey. It's our task now to go away and do more thorough analysis of that survey and prepare a first draft of paper that will go to Christine Platt from CAP in the near future. And thank you for the opportunity to share the results of the survey with you. Hope you found it of interest.